Hello. How is everyone doing today? Hopefully there's no echo this time. Nope, no echo. Good. A terrible mistake yesterday. There was a nice little echo on the stream for about 20 minutes. Seems like every time I make a small change, I change something else in the streaming, which makes it a little bit more challenging. So today we are going to continue the walkthrough of building out our application for our contact management. Where we've been so far is we built out our domain, built out manager layer / service layer. We added a SQLite database to it. Then we built some business intelligence into the management layer. Then we added some testing, dependency injection. Then we started to separate out the data models from the actual business models so that later on, when we push this live, quote unquote, to production, we can change our backend databases because we'll no longer want to use SQLite for this. Then we expose all of that via a web API using ASP.NET.Core. Spent about a week or so on that, then documented it. Then we went and tweaked it some more by making sure that everything was exposed. Then we spent 2 days on adding the authentication and authorization for it. So today we are going to work on making our methods asynchronous. What that means is we are going to take them and make it so that the runtime, ASP.NET or .NET, depending on at what point in the program it's in, will be able to execute stuff on a different thread. And what that means is one thing can be doing one thing. Your computer can do more than one thing at a time, typically. So we're going to have one thing going off and then potentially another thing going off. This allows for usually faster computing. The machine can also prioritize what order it runs things in. And when we start getting hosted on a web farm, or when we start getting hosted in Azure or AWS for that matter, it allows us to be able to spread the load across multiple machines. When we get into the user interface, it's going to allow us to be able to have our user interface be more responsive, because the computer can worry about updating the screen while behind the scenes it's getting, loading, or saving the data. So let's take a look at how we do that. Luckily in .NET there is a relatively easy way. I say relatively because it took me a while to kind of get the gist for how it works, but in the maturity now that is .NET Core, it's made it so much easier. And a lot of supporting libraries can actually support it too a lot easier. So we're going to start with the lowest level right now, which would be our data tier. And we're going to introduce new methods. We could go change our existing methods, but that becomes a pain in the you know what. But we also want to support both clients that want synchronous work, meaning do one thing, then do the next, then do the next, and ones that want asynchronous work. So it's relatively simple to do that. The way you go about doing that is creating what's called async method. So we'll take our GetContact. I should probably eliminate this now because we no longer want that functionality in there since we built the separate endpoints. As the thing says, we'll probably want to come back and remove it. So get rid of that to-do comment. So now we are going to copy this model and replace it. Now you notice most of the code doesn't change except for 3 things. So luckily, the Entity Framework supports asynchronous methods. And as a standard convention, asynchronous methods usually have the keyword or the word async afterwards, just to tell you. It's not required, but it's a best practice. So I'm going to do the same for mine. Now you need to do 2 additional things. You have to do something called await to tell the code that I want you to wait for these results to come back. So that says, go fire this off on another thread, come back to me when you're done. Now you see a red squiggly line saying, hey, something's not good here. I don't know what to do. So let's go and see. Essentially going to tell us that we need to tell the method that it's now asynchronous. We just don't do that by adding the name. So luckily with the IntelliSense, I can just do that. And now you see our method turned into async here and added what's called a task, or it returns a task type. That is .NET's way of wrapping all the behind the scenes plumbing that happens. Essentially, we're going to fire this off, and inside the task, it's going to constantly wait, check, wait, check, wait, check, wait, check until it's done, and then come back. So that was all we really needed to do. Now this method inside of the SQLite data store is asynchronous, meaning I can fire it and come back. So if you're new to this, we have a couple of different layers in our application. So inside of the SQLite, we're going to go into the SQL data, and we'll probably want to expose that method as a asynchronous method. So since this is the synchronous version of it, I am going to copy and replace that, add an async, and then this is async task, and then let's do a await here. And yes, I'll add the missing reference, and then async. What did I call it? Didn't I update the async method? GetContactAsync. Why are you complaining? Data store. Oh, it's complaining because there's no interface for that. I have to update the interfaces to it. So let's go here and update all the interfaces at once. So let's go to data store first. We are going to see a lot of them, and the code's going to complain for a bit. How should we do this? Should we copy and paste them separate? I'm going to put them right below. So let's do a contact, get contact, int contact ID. Actually, I could have probably just hit the duplicate code button and made the changes. Alt enter to apply the usings. And then we're going to do this for each. Actually, I'm not going to do that for each, because in case we don't have enough time, we're not going to get to changing every method, and I don't want to bore you with just a lot of that. So we need to update the repository with the same. So I'm just going to duplicate this chunk of code, and that's a Control-D shortcut for those that like keyboard shortcuts. Alt Enter, get rid of you. And then async. Now got to update the contact manager. And I got some feedback from someone earlier that this is kind of repetitive. Yes, it is to some extent, but in future videos, we're going to see how doing some of this repetitiveness makes it a lot easier for us to make changes. Plus, it's also you wouldn't be doing this necessarily in this order like I am. You would probably build it initially that way, but I'm trying to have each different stream be focused on something. So now we updated the interfaces. Our repository should be behaving now that GetContactAsync is working, but you see our logic layer is complaining. That's because this is not compilable anymore because it's missing that asynchronous method. So let's go and add that to here. This is going to be a task of contact and GetContactAsync. Alt Enter, you're allowed. And then we are going to await GetContactAsync. Now I've got to turn this into an async. Sorry about that. Make sure our data store is set up the right way. Yep. Our data store is good. And our manager is good. So now we need to use this inside of our API. So let's go to the controller, contact controller, and the get contacts is called. So here I am going to add a wait. Nope, it's not this method. Let's get contact. Which method did we do? I can't believe I'm already lost. We did it to the get contact. So let's go to get contact and then change this to async. Await. Oops, wrong button, sorry. And then async here and task. Now this we could rename if we want to be consistent. Behind the scenes, we are not doing anything differently with it, or at least from a controller standpoint, so I would just rename it to be consistent. Some of our client apps might not be able to be asynchronous, so we are going to call those synchronously. That should be it. Why are you complaining? What's red? Oh, I forgot we had this action. There we go. Now we're good. Let's build it. Control Shift there, Control B. If you're in the chat, say hi. Nice to know I'm talking to a person or two, maybe someone I might even know. Okay, now that it's running, I'm going to change one thing with it, only because I don't want this on right now. It's just going to be a pain in the butt to log in every time, so we're going to just turn that off, the logging and authorization right now. So let's go to our test cases. Or go to this and make sure that it is working. So where's our get contact one? sys method. Let's make sure the API is running. So we launched the API. Context is going to fail because I have, oh, it's probably going to fail anyway because I have the guess I'll have to turn on the authorize. Only because I have each of the methods inside of the controller have a verify context. So let's stop the API for a second and let's just turn it back on. I'll use Postman for it. Yes, I know that's not working. Contact API. You get contact, which apparently I can't spell. I'm going to need to get a new token. So let's go to authorization. Get new access token. There's a way to do it this way. Azure coding with JoeG. Get new access token. I have to re-enter everything. That bites. Let's try this. Use it. It's expired, but if I click get new access token, will I get it? No. Oh, that's terrible. Okay, it's a good thing I didn't get rid of everything else. So let's go and change this to do coding with JoeG. That's fine. I need to change the auth URL. Luckily, oh, I thought I saved it. Where'd it go? Oh, you're nestled behind here, aren't you? There you go. So I'm moving that off screen and I'll just copy and paste it. Not that it matters because you'll see it in the stream anyway, but a little bit cleaner. And then later on, probably next stream or over the weekend, I will work on adding this stuff to configuration so that we can do it everything right in Visual Studio. Client ID. I got the URLs posted wrong. Auth URL. As you can see, I was playing around with the GitHub API earlier today. So I had get access tokens in here now. Client ID should be right. I gotta put in the client secret. And then, why is it? That's terrible. I should have all that. I don't remember what all the tokens were. I saved one of them. So let's do this. And I think we just did view, if I remember correctly. So I'm going to request the token. Oh, wrong password. As soon as I hit enter, I realized it was the wrong password. Yes, I will authenticate you. So now if I hit send, that was a lot of work. Everything's back. Now you probably won't notice it here that it's faster or slower or did anything because it's just working on my machine. When we later on, if we start moving into doing load tests, which we might do, we'll take a look at how the load test handles differently based on asynchronous methods and not. So we got our first one in there. Let's go and add in the rest. So let's go to our interfaces and change the data store ones first. So I'm just gonna duplicate these to save some typing, and you'll see red errors, but we're gonna get red errors for a bit. I'll just go to show the progress. Now let's change all these to async, and I'm getting really lazy, so I will copy that to at least get rid of that redness and that redness and that redness and that redness, that, and that. Oh, one more. Now we need to change them all to task. So task that I haven't found an easy way to do this. And by this, I mean put task in the wrap around it, not the spelling of the word, since I seem to have trouble with that too. Task. 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 And you notice they're all still grayed out. That's because they're not being called anywhere. We will take care of that in a minute or two. Okay, all these should be tasks and asynchronable. I do just for readability, put some extra spaces in between. There we go. Just to see the pairing of the methods. Now our data store is probably freaking out, which I can't blame it because we just went and added a whole bunch of interfaces to it. So let's go and clean those up. So next is GetContactAsync. I wonder if there's a mapper that does this, or if there's a mapping overload for async. GetContactAsync, async task. It should be a list. And then await. So that one's good. We get contacts are good. Get contacts. So here is where you run into some challenges. I don't want to repeat this code over and over again, or at least in two different methods for it. So we are going to probably take this out into its own method. And then we can have the throws happen outside of that. So let's do refactor this, extract method, we don't want a local function at the beginning of public. Oh, it's giving me details of what to do before DB. Well, these two are at the same, so let's just do it at the beginning. I didn't want local function. Why did I choose local function? Control RM move, extract method. There it goes. We are going to call it validation for get contacts. Since these throw an exception, we don't need to do any return type to it. And I'm going to make it private and edit it right there. So now we can copy this and then async task, and then to async. And let's get rid of all these. Remove redundant qualifiers everywhere in file. I get rid of those. And it's still red. It's going to be red for a while because of all these asyncs. Oh, I gotta wait this. Let's see if there's a map async. Mapper.map. Nope, there isn't. So now we got the validate contract, save contacts, doesn't need anything. So there might be a nicer, easier way to do this so we're not kind of duplicating code. I'm not 100% sure on that, but we'll go with this, and then worst comes to worst, we could refactor it again. Add a sync, and we are going to await this, but more importantly, await this. Oh, one of the things you'll see is that writer highlighted this in green, telling me that because I made the method asynchronous, that it realizes there is an asynchronous version of this, so I could easily just do Option Enter or Alt Enter and change it, but I don't need a second await. Delete contact, same. Now, depending on your application, you may need to have the double methods. I'm leaving them in for now because I believe with some of the desktop clients we are going to work on, we are not going to want them there. But I could be wrong. Worst comes to worst, we come back and change it. Let's extract you. Control RM, extract method, validate, delete contact. Put that there. We are going to just, we'll leave it there because we are going to call it. Now I can just do Actually, let's do static return void. Actually, we can leave it as Boolean. Since this one actually returns something. And then it's going to want to do that. Now let's make it asynchronous. Async pass. Async. Await. Async. Await. Async. Turn that over, remove async. Nope. There is not. So you will stay remove. Just its database, or just this. I guess because remove just adds it, and there's no real reason for the overhead. That's good. Get contact phones. Async task of async where wait, oops. Let's see what else. Get phone. Async task. And almost done. The rest will be a lot easier. Ooh, I didn't rename that one. No, wrong method to rename. Oh, okay. Wait. To list async. And last but not least, as async, and then I need to add the async here. Await async, and we should be good. No more reds in the file, but we do have a yellow. Why do I have a yellow? First name, last name. I'm complaining. Oh, never seen that one before. That's interesting. I'll have to research that one. I'm not sure what that is. Well, the yellow went away though. Came back. Yes, I know that. Huh. Interesting. I'll probably have to turn that warning off. So we are good with that. The app still builds, but now we have a bunch more asynchronous methods. And I can go through all of the others like manager and repository, but I think you'll get the gist. It's just a lot of copy paste right now, and there's no reason to bore everyone on the call or anyone watching the video with that. So with that being said, I am going to end the stream right now. Actually, I'm not going to end the stream. I'll just keep doing it so people can follow along if they want, but by all means, feel free to drop off if you want. Didn't want to do that yet. Need to duplicate that one, duplicate that one, duplicate that one, duplicate, duplicate, duplicate. And let's just add some spacing to the methods. And now task. Just gonna do this easy way instead of typing. Treat it as an editor right now and just do a lot of copy paste. I'll get the rest of it in there in a minute. It's going to be red for a bit anyway, so that part. Now let's go and add the closing, 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 closing. Now we need to add the word async. Now these copy and paste are going to be a lot easier because all of most of the data validation is done in the manager layer, so we are going to have to do some extra work in there. GetContactAsync. Okay, we are good to go. This is not red, but that turn this bad boy red. So we got to get contact. Let's get contacts going. Task. Async. Async. Wait. Async. This is also going to change our unit test that we have because we have a lot more code now that we are going to have to validate. And in theory, you're still can copy and paste, just change the async and all those, but some async testing is slightly different, so we're gonna have to be a little cognizant of that. It might be another video to get that working. Async as I should actually create a live template so I don't have to keep doing this. Run a method from one into asynchronous. Even the IDE is having trouble catching up. This must be the equivalent of watching paint dry right now. me pretty much just copy and pasting and changing a couple of names. Yeah, didn't want to do that. I used a writer suggestion for it, and it said, okay, you want to do this one, we'll turn it as a not implemented exception, so pretty much just deleted the code. It knows I want the name, but it does know that there's already code in there. Get phones. I know I keep forgetting the async part here. Wait. Async task. Forgot to copy and paste this one. Oops. This just becomes a phone. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. And get rid of that. Got that. 2 more left, and we are done with the repository. Async task. Get async. Wait. Ace. Come on. And the last one. Async task. All the reds disappear. Didn't. What method did I miss? Or did I misspell? Delete contact int. Where is my delete contact? Oh, I deleted the main one instead of copying and pasting. Bye. The challenges with copy paste, sometimes you might skip a thing or two. Now we're good to go. Everything is green there. Now the manager is up next. Oh, I don't know why I just didn't do this. Silly boy. I can just go and do this here. Save the manager. It's implementing the same method, so there's no reason why. And the contact manager is broken now, as we would expect, but it should be relatively easy to fix, as we've seen in the past. Already got that method. Get contacts. Async task. Get contacts async. Oh wait. Async. Let's pull this out into its own method. Control R rm extract method validation for get contacts. And we're going to return a void since that does it. And let's copy paste async task. Oops, wrong button, sorry. Save contact. Save contact has a lot. Control RM extract method validation for save contact. Methods become a lot smaller when we extract out that method too, if you noticed. Async task. Save contact async. And oh wait. Save contact async. We got delete contact. Async. Oh wait. Let's be consistent and take this out. Actually, I could probably just do that. The code's not really applicable anymore. Async task. Full. Async. Ah, damn it, did it again. That one was trouble. Get contacts phone. Async task. I'm so conditioned to take the suggestions of Writer or Resharper that I just automatically want to go and hit Alt Enter. In this case, it's not a good thing. It's one faithful follower still on there. Thanks for sticking through. So wait. Copy, paste. Or get contact address is always like, why am I last? So updated all this. Now all we have to do is update our controllers and we are done. So let's start off with get contact. So this is going to be async task. And I'm just gonna copy and paste all this all the way through so that we don't have to keep typing it. Async, async, sync. So luckily it's smart enough to figure that out now. I put those in so I can just alt enter through it and let it give me the best method for it. And tell me what do I got left. One more. Now we should be good. And if I run our test cases should still pass because we didn't touch those methods. But even though we touched some of the methods inside of our manager, I'm going to just rerun all the unit tests to make sure they pass. Let's see, all success. That was super quick. Everything ran, everything worked as expected. Now let's go to the API. Let's restart this bad boy. That's not bad. It took me under an hour to go and make everything asynchronous. Now we're just doing some quick tests. Page not working, which means Postman should be ready to go. I can close you. We've already tested this method, but let's make sure. Let's get the search contact. Send. That fails because I'm using the expired token. So let's go back to the new token that works. Hit send. What do I call that new token? Got so many. Delete all the ones that expired already. Send. Should give you a dash in there that it's not working. I'd rather not run delete contacts, although I could check the get contacts and then see. Oh, this one doesn't have authorization set up. HTTPS. Send. Let's delete 19. You're the unlucky caller. Oh, I already had 19 in here to delete. Goodbye, 19. Make sure I got the right token here. Send. Got a no content, as you can see here. Now let's go back to our get contacts and see if 19 is gone. 19 is gone and 21 is the next. So that's it. We went through and added async to all of our methods, and we are good to go with our next step, which would probably be introducing application configuration and then secrets. And then we will probably, after that, work on getting some deployments to deploy this API out to the cloud. Being said, I hope you enjoyed it. Any questions, feel free to reach out to me on any of the social media ways that are listed on the video. Thanks. Have a great day, evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are.